Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Unscripted Sports Podcast. We are glad to have you here. If you're watching us on Facebook, we want you to go ahead and like and share. And we also want you to look for us on YouTube. You can find us under Unscripted and look under any of these guys' names, Big Shaw, Logan Landers, Jay McLovin. And you can find the other things that these guys are doing on YouTube also. We're always here Tuesdays and Thursday evenings, 9 Eastern, and Saturdays at noon Eastern. We're brought to you now by the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. And our guys tonight are commentators. We have our guys here, Big Shaw.
What's up?
Logan Landers.
What up, everybody? Ready for a great show.
And Jay McLovin.
What up, H-Town? Let's get this boy cranking.
And you're in for a special treat tonight because our show is going to be a little bit different. We have a very special guest, Daniel Kelly, who is the author of Whatever It Takes. And we have a little bio on him, Logan, if you'll play that for us.
Yes, Matt. Here we go.
Whatever It Takes. A true story of a fan making it into the National Football League. Something unheard of. Something unlike anything you've ever seen before. From the small town of Mound, Minnesota, with only 1 year of high school football playing experience and no college or pro playing or coaching experience, find out how he made it into the NFL. Against all the odds, anything is possible. From growing up a diehard fan of the Washington Redskins to getting his first big break with Tony Dungy, be there the day he got the call. Hired by the New York Jets to work in pro scouting for 4 seasons. A dream come true. A fascinating and insightful look at what it's like to work on staff with the legendary Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. Travel along on this amazing journey that takes you behind closed doors at training camp, the scouting combine, and what it's like to work in the day-to-day operations of an NFL team with many of the biggest names in the game today. It's both dramatic and entertaining. A story that captures your imagination and rivals Hollywood movies, Jerry Maguire, Rudy, and Invincible. Only this is different. This is not another story about a football player or agent. This is the true story of a fan just like you. Feel the passion, experience the excitement. Once you pick it up, you won't be able to put it down. Find the inspiration to follow your dreams and hope to overcome the greatest adversities life has to offer. Whatever it takes. Order your copy today.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Daniel. And I want to let our viewers know that we always welcome their comments and questions while the show is going on, and we love to respond with you. And go ahead and let us know a little bit about what's going on with you, Daniel.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, everybody, for having me on the show tonight. Hey, it's great to be on. Put the ball in the tee and kick it off. It's wild as always. Never know where everything is going. It's been amazing where I've been, and it just continues to be an incredible journey, to say the least.
All right, Logan, you want to get us started on some questions for Mr. Kelly?
Yeah. So first off, Mr. Kelly, let me just say thank you for coming on the show. It's a pleasure having you on. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a current topic first, since the football season is still going on. I see you guys.
I'm not hearing you.
Can't hear? All right. Let's see. Someone else say something, maybe?
I don't know. Can you hear me, Daniel?
I can, Melanie, yes. But I'm unable to hear Logan.
That's weird. Anyone else hear me?
I can hear you, Logan.
Yeah, I got you. He made this. It may just be something, but try it one more time, Logan.
All right. What about now?
This is where the show
I don't think
goes.
I can hear anybody besides you, Melanie.
Oh, no. I guess it's just going to be me tonight.
It's gonna be a setup like everybody else is gonna be up in the box, like calling the plays, and you're gonna be like down the sideline playing the plays in the meet.
Yeah, I will for real be the moderator.
That's great.
Because I know these guys have a lot of questions and a lot of things that they've prepared to talk to you about.
That's great. That's great. We can just use hand signals if you want.
Oh, that is weird.
There we go. I picked up somebody.
You know what the problem was? You were in the wrong spot, Logan. You were in the middle, and you're supposed to
stir it up.
All right, so you can hear me, right, Daniel?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just rock with this, then we'll see how it goes. All right. So first question. Let's try it one more time. I'll go a little bit current topic right quick. Before we get into your amazing story, I'm sure these guys are going to get into that. But I see you got the Redskins hat on right now. I know you're for them. The team without a name at the moment. They had a phenomenal run going into the playoffs. Unfortunately, it ended. So what were your thoughts in general on the first season as the football team? And where do you think they can improve?
Well, I tell you what, Logan, if I had $1 every time somebody said the football team to me this season, I'd probably be rich. I've got that so many times in different sports bars, like, hey, you're the football team. I'm like, yeah. Really a great season. I think a season that far exceeded, I know, my own personal expectations. It was personally crushing to me that they changed their name. In fact, I wrote for Rago's Rag, and it got to the point where I couldn't even write for them anymore. I was so personally devastated by them changing the name. It's something that the Redskins were always near and dear to my heart since I was 8 years old. I mean, it's I believe burgundy and gold. I was the guy that wanted to become the general manager of the Redskins someday and walk into the middle of the field in Dallas and take an Indian spear and pitch it into the star and declare war in Dallas. So, this guy give you an idea. I'm the guy that threw up and missed 3 days of school when I was 9 years old when the Redskins lost to the Raiders. So yeah, I took it real personally. But this season, it took me some time to get into it. My wife and I, we live down in Key West, Florida. We went to a sports bar every week to watch the games. It took me some time to kind of get into it. I was really upset when Coach Rivera went for 2 instead of trying to tie the game against the New York Giants. They lost that game. But the team started to grow more and more in my heart, especially getting rid of Dwayne Haskins. This is something I've been pushing for quite a while. I wanted Alex Smith back in the game. I love Alex Smith. I love his story. I love the comeback story. And when he was in the game, guys, it was a completely different team that really began to resonate with me more and more. You know, it's interesting. Back in 1998, when I was first attempting to get into the NFL, I wrote a letter to Hall of Fame coach Joe Gibbs, who I grew up loving and exchanging letters with as a teenager. And, I wrote to Coach Gibbs in 1998 asking for his help when he was out of the league and with the NASCAR. And Coach Gibbs responded in a letter that's in my book, Whatever It Takes, kind of talking about how, it's really a brand new organization. It's essentially a new organization, he said. And I never quite knew what that meant until years later, because for the last, I'd say 20, 30 years, most of the time, even though they were called the Redskins, they really didn't resemble whatsoever the teams I grew up with. They had the heart, the passion, and what I was accustomed to growing up when under Joe Gibbs, the great teams that the Hall of Fame GM Bobby Beathard orchestrated and put together. So for years, I've been the guy that's saying, well, these really don't, they have the Redskins logo on their helmet, but they don't really appear to be the Redskins to me that I'm accustomed to. But this year, starting once Alex Smith got into the game and started playing well, they were a different team that resonated with me more and more. I really resonated with Coach Rivera's story, overcoming cancer. I myself had testicular cancer when I was 24 years old. My first month on the job with the New York Jets, I overcame cancer myself. So that resonated with me as well. And then, of course, moving into, it was really a team of resilience. It was a team that persevered. And, it was really a team that, once in the playoffs, Taylor Henneke really resonated with me because this is a guy that kind of bounced around. Nobody really gave a chance to. And then he got his shot and we all saw what happened. He played lights out football, as I call it. And, really, he could have played under Joe Gibbs. I mean, I haven't seen an effort like that with that much heart and that much passion from a Redskins quarterback since Mark Rippon.
Hey, thank you, sir. Very informative.
Yeah, I try to be.
Especially with Heineke, man.
Too much so.
Hey, that Heineke, man, that guy's phenomenal.
Like, I can talk football all day, if someone gives me a chance to. No, but I was really pleased. Matter of fact, the team resonates me with the point, to the point where I'm actually in the process of reaching out to different members of the coaching staff, different members of management, different people associated with different agents that to know the owner. Right now, trying to get into Washington because I came this close to getting hired by the Redskins in 2019. I've been trying since I was 17 years old when I started writing letters to then General Manager Charlie Casserly, trying to get an internship. I got real close about 6 times, but none closer in 2019 when former Redskins president, now Bruce Allen, George Allen's son, called me out of the blue in September into 2019 and said, "Hey, I got a copy of your book. I read it cover to cover. Got to have you out here. I want to sit down with you and really, find out what you think we should do." I thought it was a friend playing a prank on me or something. I was like, I'm looking at my phone. It says area code 703-726-7000. I'm like, this can't be my buddies in Minnesota, but who knows with technology the way it is. But he flew me out to Washington. I had a chance to sit down with Mr. Allen for an hour and a half in his hotel suite at the Gaylord National Convention Center. We were talking about maybe a position as an assistant special teams coach, maybe a position in scouting. We had a great visit and everything was on. He said, "Well, I'll call you once the season ends." And then once the season ended, of course, we all know he got fired on Black Monday. So it was kind of like ending up on the 1-yard line in the Super Bowl as time expired.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
So close. Love the team, close, but that's hopefully that's a good way to kick off the show.
No, absolutely.
Awesome.
Stellar.
Awesome.
All right, Big Shaw, what's your first question for Mr. Kelly?
Man, my first question is Chase Young really that good?
I'm not hearing Big Shaw.
You not hearing me?
Hearing you,
hey, hold on, Shaw. Let me remove you from the stream real quick. Hold on.
Yeah.
Try now.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. I can hear you.
You know what?
That's what it is, fellas.
That's what it is.
That's right. That's right. As Scott Pioli, my old boss at the Jets, used to say, exhaust your resources. So we'll get this. We will.
We will.
But,
all right, Shaw.
That Chase Young fella, is he really that good?
Who's that? I'm sorry?
Chase Young. That defensive end y'all have over there.
Yeah, that sound effects sometimes do more than words. I like Chase. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I like him a lot. I like Montez Sweat better.
I like him too.
Yeah, I do. I mean, you're talking to somebody who grew up watching Dexter Manley and Charles Mann. In Dexter Manley and what was a man amongst men. I mean, Dexter Manley was incredible. So I mean, going from watching Dexter Manley to watching Chase Young is like going from watching a baseball game at the Yankees to going to like a AAA ball game. It's something that it's not nearly as. I mean, yes, does he athletic? Yes, he is. Does he have the nasty and the mean? No, I don't think he does. I don't think he's anywhere near that what Dexter Manley had. I don't think he's that nasty, mean kind of defensive end. I think he's more athletic. I think he's more finesse. Do I think he'll do very well? Yes, I do. Somebody compared him on the TV the other day to Ray Lewis. No.
I said no. Don't do that.
No, absolutely not. It must have been some information somebody was getting fed on the earpiece.
I don't know who did that.
but no, I mean he's definitely a good player, but it leaves a lot to be desired to be considered great.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right, Jay, how about your first question?
Yeah, again, thank you for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Welcome. I can. Thank you for having me on. Absolutely, I can hear you.
Hey, you never know these days.
Absolutely.
My first question would be, being from Minnesota, what the hell got you? And it's a 2-part question, by the way. For being from Minnesota, what the hell got you into Washington football? Why didn't you lean towards the Vikings?
Well, that's a question my parents asked for years. That was something, because what had happened was, it's the only way I can describe it is when somebody falls in love with somebody. I was 8 years old. It was kind of unsuspecting, and there was a football game on the RCA television, this little TV in the corner of the living room, and I was drawn to it like a magnet to a refrigerator. I was drawn to this TV set and the colors, the team, the energy, the passion, the Gibbs, the Hogs, the RFK Stadium, everything just, for a young boy, it captured my heart, it captured my mind, it captured my imagination to the point where that was it. I mean, it was like love at first sight. It's the only way I can possibly describe it with in the English language. And from that point, I mean, I was hooked from day one. My grandma was a snowbird. She went off from Minnesota to Arizona. I told my grandma, I said, hey, can you get me like some kind of a little Riggins jersey or something? And she's like, well, I don't think they make anything like that. So she went to a t-shirt shop and bought like a little red, like a t-shirt. I mean, this was way, way before the internet or NFL.com or NFL shop or any of that. And she got this is way back in the day, and she got a little red t-shirt made with the screen print 44 in the front and the back, and with the name Riggins across the back. And she sent me a little, she had a Redskins hat embroidered, I should say, excuse me. And she sent it to me, and I had that on for Super Bowl 17 over my pajamas with feet in them. I was cheering for John Riggins on that 4th and 1 run, 70 chip, as it's known as. Yeah, I was hooked. I was literally, it was just, long story short, it was love at first sight.
No, that's awesome that you have a grandmother that's that awesome.
Yes, absolutely. hey, it got to the point, guys. It got to the point. Check this out. It got to the point where she was the oldest. She was known as the Redskins grandma at the sports bar. She used to take me to watch all the games of satellite, and she started going for the sports page first thing in the morning, and she would tell our friends, and they thought she was nuts, but absolutely, she was incredible.
So I'm curious, as a kid growing up, this is the last part of that first question. As a kid growing up, I know you got in a lot of trouble because you had the sports paper in your math book. Now, I had a lot of things in my math book. I know I had the sports paper. Might be the things that I got in trouble for, but how many times did you actually get in trouble? I have to imagine, I'm seeing you growing up as a kid. You've been, you were typing up all these scouting reports and everything. And I mean, it's crazy that how much you dove yourself into it. How much trouble did you really get into with your parents?
A lot. It was that's to put it bluntly. Because what would happen is that there was a kid, just to kind of give you guys a word picture here. There was a kid in my high school that bet me $100. That was a lot of money back then. It's a lot of money today. And he bet me. He said, "I bet you $100 you can't wear a different Redskins hat and T-shirt to school every day for a month." And I don't remember what I spent the money on, but I know I won. So I mean, I was crazy. I was crazy. And to answer your question, how much trouble did I get in? A lot, because my dad grew up, kind of like with nothing was his story. And he was so dirt poor financially that he would tell stories that he had to get a Christmas tree a day after Christmas as a kid, or he would have to, pick up coal on the side of the railroad to heat the house. And so my dad grew, he came up and became like a self-made millionaire in sales. And so he was like his whole passion for his son, being me, was I don't want you to grow up the hard way the way I did. I want you to go to school. So there was a tremendous pressure coming from my dad to go on to school. He's like, Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth, whatever you want to do. And I didn't really have that passion for that stuff. And then my mom was a valedictorian and English teacher herself. So I had pressure coming from both sides. So I was so crazy about the Redskins and so crazy about football, the proverbial stuff really hit the fan when my parents went to a parent-teacher conference one year, and they sat down, and I was about 38 math assignments behind, and they were like the whole grade book was like empty for me, and everybody else had grades filled in. And the math teacher looked at my parents and said, if Dan here, if he even had a tenth of the effort, if he put a tenth of the effort into his schoolwork as he puts into the Washington Redskins, he would be a straight A student. And my dad just looked at me. it's one of those looks you get as a kid where you just know it's going to be a really long car ride home.
Oh yeah.
And it just hit this glare. My dad had his eyes like what in the hell, And so that's how. So I mean, it really became more and more of an issue, as I grew because of this. My dad had different ideas for me than I had, and it got pretty bad to the point at points where my dad even said, he got pretty angry at me at times and said, why don't you pick a real job, get your head out of the damn clouds and, pick a real job. And he really got more and more upset at me to the point where I had to leave the house and move out. But it was a real conflict, to say the least.
Man, I can imagine.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
All
All
right.
right, Logan.
All right.
Back around. Second question.
Let's do it. I gotta know. Working with the Jets back in the day, a young man at the time, what was it like working with Bill Belichick and Parcells? I gotta know.
It was incredible. It was, that's the only way I can possibly describe it. It's everything you guys see on TV. I went in for my interview. It was a 2-day marathon interview. I was working at Bank of America Mortgage at the time. They called me in. I walked through the building, and they asked me to evaluate one of their defensive players. They put me in a film room with Rick Lyle, and I watched him for a few hours. Came back, started typing up my report, and all of a sudden the door opens right when I sat. It's almost like the stuff is choreographed. I'm sitting right on my computer. I'm typing on it, and the door opens, and in walks Bill Parcells. And I mean, this is a guy I watched throughout the 80s growing up with the Redskins. That was the big rivalry, Gibbs against Parcells, and the guy they dumped the Gatorade over his head, everything, in the Super Bowls. And he walks in, he's larger than life. And he says, hi, he says, I'm Bill Parcells. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I know who you are. I said, it's very nice to meet you, sir. I said, you're the coach they dumped the Gatorade over. And he started laughing a little bit. He goes, hey, I just want to introduce myself to you. Hopefully we'll see you around here sometime, huh? And I said, I would love that, sir. And he walked out, and that was it. So then I sit down, my heart's racing, heart's in my throat. I sit down, I finished, typing up this player, Rick Lyle, that they asked me to do my interview. And then Scott Pioli, who's now Parcells' son-in-law, who was the pro scouting director at the Jets at the time, who went on to become my boss. He calls me in the office and he says, hey, can you make 3 copies of your scouting report and come back? And so he told me where the Xerox machine was. I made 3 copies, came back. He picked up the phone. He says, okay, he's in here. You can come in and join us now. I'm thinking to myself, who now? Like, what can follow Parcells? And I didn't even have time to think. And then walks Bill Belichick. And, he sat down right next to me, and Scott Pioli handed, 1 copy of my report to Bill, and he kept one for himself and gave one to me. And it's just like a Snickers commercial. I mean, everything just went kind of quiet, like not going anywhere for a while. And, I'm kind of looking at, and Belichick had these little cheaters on these glasses he pulled down over his nose, and he's looking at this report like an attorney. He's looking at this thing, and I'm thinking to myself, where are we going with this? And after about 10 minutes, he puts the report down. And he starts talking about what they asked Rick Lyle to do in their defense. He said it was a dependable player for them in the 34, a guy who could hold the point of attack against the offensive tackles, who had the linebackers scraping to make the plays. And he asked me, so he said, well, so tell me about your film collection. And so, wanted to know about all the college film I, had done my reports off of when I did my 350-page 1998 draft report that got their attention in the first place. And then he just kind of stopped for a minute. He says, okay. And he looked at me, and he locked eyes with me, and he said, what would an opportunity mean to you in the National Football League? And he just stared at me, and I stared back at him, and I didn't blink. And I said, Coach Belichick, it would mean everything to me. I will do whatever it takes to succeed here. And then we stared at each other for another good 15 to 20 seconds. He didn't say a word. Neither of us blinked. I mean, it's exactly what you see on TV. I mean, it's, and I didn't blink. He didn't blink. He goes, okay, well, thanks for coming out. And I was, and then they sent me home without a job offer. And I was like, well, okay, now what? What's going to happen now? And then 2 weeks later, Scott Pioli called up and gave me the call, like you see the players in draft day, and then I got the call. And, it was, I still get choked up to this day talking about the call.
Wow.
Yeah, I would too.
All right. Yeah.
I can't imagine something like that. That would knock my socks off.
It did. It was one of those moments that was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I would have fell off the bed. I would have been like, Mel,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to get something because I don't think I heard that man correctly.
Oh, yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
All right.
All right, Big Shaw, you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not a Washington Redskins fan. I don't like the NFC East at all. But the thing is, because I got a good friend, Washington Redskins fan. He wanted me to ask this question. He said, "What can they do to improve on that defense?"
That's a great question. What they can do is they can infuse it with more energy for starters. They can infuse it with more passion. They can infuse it with some different players. I wasn't a huge fan of Ryan Kerrigan to begin with over the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
I think they could definitely get some more speed on the outside. I think more creativity. I like Jack Del Rio a lot, but more creativity, more blitz packages, more stunting, more activity, more unpredictability on the defense, I think is what I would say, and also switch it up a little bit. Don't be afraid to run a defense maybe that's never been run before in the NFL. I'm right now I'm putting together a defensive alignment with a coaching friend of mine in the Canadian Football League, which is a zero defensive line look. On third downs, which would go into a 3 linebacker, 8 defensive back look with 2 safeties on the outside, known as Vipers, who can scrape off the edges and either shoot in on a blitz, which of course the offensive tackles are going to have a heck of a time matching in space, or they can drop in the coverage. But either way, we can go into a bracket defensive, to a coverage, much like Belichick runs the bracket coverages. So don't be afraid to do different things, different wins in the NFL. If you look historically at Bill Walsh with the West Coast, if you look at Mouse Davis with run and shoot, if you look at Buddy Ryan with the 46, if you look at Soprano with the Wildcat, different wins. Don't be afraid to do something different. Mix it up and get more aggressive, get more creative, more aggressive, and more innovative would be my response.
Very interesting.
What's your favorite team, by the way, Big Shaw?
Oh, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan.
Cleveland Browns.
Yes, we need that defense for Kansas City.
Hey, you're going to be talking pretty soon because in 2017 I was talking with the owner Jimmy Haslam, and actually I flew out to Cleveland trying to meet with him to become the GM of the Cleveland Browns. So that's a whole other story by itself. But yeah, the Browns are near to my heart. Matter of fact, I got a big tattoo on my arm that says "Believe Land." So that's near dear to my heart. Yeah, absolutely.
I fell in love with the Browns. Yeah, I fell in love with them. Yeah,
I can tell you I put a tattoo of Cleveland on my body.
Too. What's that?
I said I could tell Big Shaw where I put a tattoo of Cleveland on my body, but I can't show it on TV.
And I hear back, why you became a Cleveland Browns fan? I said, I tell you. I said, I went to a game and it was free and it was cold because I hear they don't know that the stadium, they got a big old lake, the water like right there. Yep. Man, I froze my butt off, but the fans were still there. I got excited. I started barking like a dog, and I got warm after acting like them. I said, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. So ever since then, I've been rooting for them. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. That's a good story right there.
Yeah,
absolutely. I like that.
All right, Jay, you ready with your second question?
Absolutely. Well, it's another 2 part. First of all, so who do you think? Okay, you saw Jacksonville, which is a team that's gone like absolutely like nowhere, and they finally got what I think is a pretty good hire in Urban Myers. They get all those draft picks, all that cap room. I mean, that's like, what do you think? Do you think, because me and Big Shaw, we've been kind of going, Shaw thinks that the Jaguars are going to screw this up and it's just going to go nowhere. I'm on the other hand, I'm saying that basically I think the Jaguars, are heading in the right direction. I think that Urban Myers could be the guy that, that can rebuild this team with the cap room he's got available and the number of draft picks, especially having the number 1 pick. What do you make of this whole Jaguars Urban Myers situation?
Well, that's interesting you mentioned that, guys, because Jacksonville is the job I wanted. I've been messaging Mr. Shad Khan for the last 3 weeks on Facebook, and also his son Tony on Twitter for the last 3 weeks, basically almost begging for a chance to be interviewed for the general manager's job down there. I think it's a perfect setup. I think they have a lot of room to do a lot of different things. There's something about that place that really resonates with me. There's been a couple times in the past. In 2006, I almost got hired as the assistant pro director director in Arizona. And I was talking to the gentleman that was going to hire me, who was going to become the pro director there. And I told him, I said, if you go into Arizona and have success, I said, you can basically write your own ticket in the NFL. And then in 2017, I told Mr. Haslam, I said, if you give me this position, I'll walk up to the podium and declare the Cleveland Browns as Super Bowl champions right off the bat. And that's when they were winless. So I kind of saw the trajectory of the Browns changing as well. So now I'm resonating with the Jacksonville Jaguars at this time. And so I think it's very possible that Jacksonville may be, go be climbing. Urban Meyer is somebody who's very interesting to me. I know he was very interesting to Dan Snyder last year. He's been very interesting to Jerry Jones as well. He's somebody that I think might do some of these creative type of things at the NFL, a little bit outside the box stuff. I mean, he was Tim Tebow's coach. He was Dwayne Haskins' coach. Maybe he brings both those guys back in. Maybe he does something creative with maybe almost like a 2 or 3 headed monster. Kind of like all of what New Orleans does or Baltimore with 2 quarterbacks in a game at the same time, maybe put Tebow in the backfield. I don't know what exactly he's going to do, but I don't expect him to stick with the script. I think they could potentially do great things. A lot of it's going to depend on, who he hires and what he does, but he's a very interesting guy. Urban Meyer's a very interesting guy. Matter of fact, right before this show, I went on Twitter and I messaged him and asked him if I could visit with him because I have a revolutionary punt return a design that's never been used before in the NFL that will dominate the league. And I have a card that Pam Tebow sent me about my book. And so I attached that to it. And I asked, Coach Meyer if he would meet with it because I'm in Key West, he's in Jacksonville. I said, is there any way we can please meet? So I'm definitely very intrigued by the Jacksonville situation, to say the least.
And I would tell you, that brings me to the second part of my question.
Sorry, Big Shaw.
No.
And you heard it here first, Big Shaw. You heard it here first.
I don't know about Jacksonville.
That's okay.
That's okay.
We'll see.
Hey,
okay.
Listen, the second part of my question is, if you do get that GM job in Jacksonville, which I think you should, and if you get it, listen, I am only an hour and a half away in Savannah, Georgia, and I would be glad to take you and the wife out for cocktails. What do you think?
I would love to. We would love to.
Okay, there you go.
Absolutely.
That's locked in now.
Absolutely.
Melanie better start saving up the money because we gotta save up our money for that. But we're gonna
a matter of fact, I'm actually offering this. I'm all over Facebook. It's all over social media. I'm actually offering this. Whoever can get me a meeting set up with an owner of an NFL team and put me in front of them for 10 minutes, I will make that person my assistant GM.
Oh, snap. There you go.
There you go.
Woo, I'm going to have to start working on this one. Well, I just retired, so I got a lot of time on my hands, so I'm going to start Twittering like a maniac.
We'll try to get you to Cleveland.
Absolutely. Hey, wherever it is.
Even Detroit?
You guys are now on the clock.
Hey. Don't tell me with the good time because I'll take that clock.
Right.
And then we'll have those drinks.
Yes, we will. Absolutely. I think Logan's up next.
Yeah, Logan's up next.
I'm just say, Shad Khan, Tony Khan, I know y'all are busy right now. Tony's got his hands dipped in about 50 projects right now. Shad, one of the most richest owners right now in football. You got to get Daniel Kelly on the team. You got to get him. I'm putting it out there. Sign this man. Be the GM. Lead the Jaguars to the promised land. Let's do it. All right. So
let's do it. Thank you, Logan.
There we go. So being really involved in the draft throughout your really entire life, I got to know, what was one player that you were looking at really deep that you thought that you knew was going to be great? And what was one that you think kind of slipped away that you kind of brushed away that turned out to be an amazing player?
Well, that's a great question. Now I got to go through about 10,000 different guys in my head to say. see, that's the problem with getting older in the National Football League. It's like my old boss, Dick Haley, my boss's boss at the Jets. We'd sit down and have a conversation. He would start talking about Mean Joe Green. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, really? I'm like, so a guy that say that one more time. A guy that I thought was.
Yeah, a guy that you knew was going to be a superstar. And then what's one that you didn't really have your eyes on that turned out to be an amazing player?
Well, it's interesting because in 1992, I mean, this is going back, a guy that I really, really, really liked was Desmond Howard coming out of Michigan. Mr. Heisman Trophy with the Heisman pose. I don't know if one of you guys wants to do the pose for us, but the thing with the arm to the side. Yeah. It's. I really liked him, and he didn't turn out to be the superstar that I had projected as a wide receiver, but he did turn out to be a Super Bowl MVP for Green Bay. So he still did star, just in a different way. So that's the first one that comes to mind on that one. And the second part of that was?
What's like just someone that you didn't really have your eye on that turned out to be like a superstar, like someone that you were looking at on the draft boards. You're like, yeah, this guy's from a small school, or he's not the biggest, he's not the fastest, but he turned out to be really good.
Well, Peyton Manning comes to mind immediately. I didn't have a chance to do enough games on him. I looked at him at first. He really struggled against, I think it was Arkansas in the one game I saw of him, and I wasn't too high on him, but he was a guy that really surprised me. I wish I had more tape on him at the time, but he really jumped out and had a big career.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. Also, I'm throwing my hat in there. I don't live too far away from Jay and Mel. We're all going to go out there to Jacksonville, get some drinks together, and have a good time.
That's excellent.
I second that.
There we go.
Hey, and there's all sorts of ways to get these owners' attention. So you guys brainstorm, and we'll come up with something, and we'll get in front of them.
Hey, we'll be sure to come up with a campaign slogan for you. Don't worry.
Absolutely. Then they'll be replaying this on E60 someday. This episode, they'll be like, these guys actually did it.
Whatever it takes. That's what you say, right? Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. It's not just a title of a book; it's a way of life. Absolutely.
Perfect. Oh man! All right, that's awesome.
All right, Shaw, you're up.
Yeah, back to Jacksonville. I know a lot of people are excited for Urban Meyer. I said, Urban Meyer comes with a lot of baggage. And when I brought that up, people looked at me kind of funny, like, what you mean baggage? Well, yeah, let's never watch football then. But my thing is with Jacksonville, who do you think he's going to bring on to coach with him?
That's a really good question. I mean, he's got so many different options, people he's been associated with, that I couldn't even stab a guess. What's that?
He can get Tim Tebow.
He could get Tebow to come in there. I'll say this. I think we're going to see some surprises. I don't think he's going to hire people that people expect him to hire. He's got a lot of possibilities from his college days. He's got a lot of connections throughout the football network world. I would love to see him do something completely out of the box. The defensive coordinator that I want is Ray Lewis.
Oh, no, man.
Yeah, that's who I want. I want somebody that's going to make our team run through a wall coming out of the tunnel. So, I mean, it would be fun to see him do something like that, where somebody gets a shot to, be a coach of at that level. So it'll be surprising. I don't really know specifically. I think because there's so many different names running through my head, I would just be like, it'd be like playing darts in the dark.
You can get Ed Reed.
He could absolutely. And Ed Reed's expressed an interest in coaching before. You're exactly right.
He'll be a good coach. Ed Reed. He'll be a real good coach.
Absolutely. He's really smart. Absolutely. He'd be a great coach. And those guys can see the field really well.
Oh yeah. I agree.
All right. I guess we're back to you, Jay.
Yeah. So I got a couple questions. One, given that you're with all your scouting expertise, and if you are, since you would be, I guess, going along with the Urban Meyer, you are Urban Meyer. You're getting ready to make that first selection for Jacksonville Jaguars. Gardner Minshew and Glennon, or whatever that guy's name is. Those really aren't your answers at quarterback. I don't think they're answers at quarterback. Would your number one selection be to draft a quarterback? And if so, who would you draft?
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, if it was college, if it was a college guy, I would say that's the guy. But me personally, what I sent a message to Tony Khan was that I wanted to deal the pick, and I want to deal with the Houston for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that would be nice. And I hate to say I'm from Houston, as you can see. And you know what? But honestly, with the way Houston is going about doing things there, I wouldn't be mad at. Honestly, I would not be mad at Deshaun Watson if he did get traded or wanted to get traded. I mean, I can't blame him. I mean, honestly, I think Houston is just not running that organization quite as well as they could have. And, why waste your prime years in a situation where you're they're talking about going through another rebuild mode or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. So if I was him, I would want to trade. And I think you're right. I think that would be actually a really good spot for him to go to. Jacksonville, hey, I'm telling you, watch out, dude. You watch. Jacksonville gonna put something together. I promise you.
You know what Jacksonville gonna do? I'm gonna tell you what Jacksonville gonna do. I've been telling everybody, and I want them to hear it. Jacksonville gonna find a way to mess everything up. That's what they gonna do. That's what they gonna do.
Hey, no. We're getting Daniel Kelly as a DM. We're gonna fix this ship. We're gonna fix it tomorrow.
Fix this. Yes.
We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it. I'm getting my cocktails. We're gonna fix it.
We forgot to draft Trevor Lawrence. Well, who do y'all get? We got a punter. What you get a punter for? We forgot to get.
No, but hey, for real though. Hey, my last question is, you're like I said, your story is incredible. Everything you've done is really good. And what would you say to somebody that's aspiring to, but has maybe the same dreams as you do, but maybe their parents or, what would you say to them? Because let's be honest, trying to go to try to be a GM and you're in high school or wherever it is you may be, that's such a that's an enormous feat to do, and it seems like it's almost impossible. What would you tell somebody that may be thinking like that but wants to do something like that?
Wow, I would tell them nothing's impossible. I would tell them to follow their heart. It's like Mark Trestman, who I know, told me once: if you can see it, you can achieve it. Mm-hmm. And just go for it. There's one way to do this, and that's to go for it. Wave the punter off the field and go for it. Start watching games, start recording games, start writing reports. I basically self-taught myself how to scout by reading Tony Rosano's Secrets at NFL Scout when I was 16 years old, the personnel guru from the 49ers. And, just dive in, submerge yourself into the culture as much as humanly possible. Start writing to these guys. Start writing to intern scouts, entry-level scouts, to start getting to know people, start asking people for help. People like the help. Start reaching out to different owners, GMs. Don't ever let anybody tell you that somebody, that's too big, that's too lofty, because trust me, I played 1 year of high school football. I was so bad at it, I was the only kid on my team not the letter. I didn't get a letter jacket. I dropped an interception. That was my claim to fame. As Linda Cohn told me last August when she interviewed me, she goes, well, at least you defended the pass. I'm like, well, yeah, Linda, but I guess we can look at the glass is half full instead of half empty. I guess we can look at it that way. But I was so bad at playing. I barely passed through high school. I failed out of a small community college. Nobody thought I could do it. My entire high school yearbook is littered with Redskins suck and you'll never become a scout. Those are the two things people wrote in my high school yearbook. But let me say something. It can be done, because if I can do it, you can do it. Because I went from living in a small town, playing 1 year of high school football as a college dropout, and I got hired in arguably the greatest staff in the history of the National Football League. You can do it too. Just don't give up. That's the big thing. Don't give up on your dreams. I don't care if nobody in the world listens to you, nobody supports you, nobody thinks you can do it. Go for it. Continue to plow forward, because somebody at some point is going to listen to you, and somebody's going to take a liking to you, like Tony Dungy took a liking to me when I was 21.
Amen. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Miss Melanie.
Yeah, we're so glad that you came on. I would like to know, how can we get your book? I'm sure that some of our listeners would like to know how to get your book.
Sure, absolutely, Melanie. It's all over the world. It's in 11 different countries. It's on Amazon. It's on BarnesandNoble.com. It's called Whatever It Takes. It's Whatever It Takes. Let me see here if I can get that in the shot there. Whatever It Takes book.com is my book website, but it's available in really anywhere online books are sold. And it's all over the place. So definitely get it. And because this book, just to say one last thing about this book isn't a, hey, look at me type of a thing. This is about you. This is about letting you know that your dreams are possible. This is letting you know that anything's possible and you can overcome any kind of adversity life has to offer. So this book is not about me. This book is about you.
Amen. That's good music. Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
All right,
guys. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. You guys are
awesome. It was a great interview. So glad you could join us.
Hey, before you go, but next time, hey, when we get into football season, next go around, next playoffs or whatever, I want to bring it back on and give us your opinion on who you think is going to win. Maybe like around Super Bowl time frame or something.
Absolutely. And just so you know, Big Shaw, just so you know, I'm wearing my Jarvis Landry jersey this weekend, just so you know.
Oh, good.
Bring in some luck.
But I will say before we go, since everything's possible, will the Detroit Lions ever make the playoffs again?
They will if they hire me.
Hey,
They need some help.
And on that note,
well, we've been brought to you this evening by Northeast Streaming Sports. We're so glad that everybody came by to listen. And remember, if you're watching on Facebook, to like and share. And if you're on YouTube, to make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you're looking for us on YouTube, look at Unscripted. Under any of these guys' names, Logan Landers, Big Shaw, or Jay McLovin, and you can find our Unscripted podcast plus several other things that these guys do. We're always on Tuesday and Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time and noon on Saturdays. And thanks a lot. Have a great evening.
All right, guys. Good show.
You're listening to Unscripted on North